Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Shaw Local Bears Insider Podcast. I am Chicago Bears beat reporter Michael Dwojak here with the Northwest Herald's Joe Aguilar. As guys from the NFL Combine, I am live in Indianapolis. Joe's in his car joining us as well. Oh, Joe is not there. So I guess he's back. We'll see. Deal with some computer technical difficulties here, but we'll try to get you guys going as we are joining you folks here at the NFL Combine. It is Wednesday afternoon. The Bears and the whole NFL world has convened in Indianapolis at the Indianapolis Convention Center. NFL world coming together, and there's a lot to talk about in this episode. Both Bears general manager Ryan Poles and head coach Ben Johnson met with reporters a couple times on Tuesday to kind of go over what the offseason plan is going to be. And Joe, I was talking with some other reporters, and coming to the combine this year is a little bit different. I feel like every single year it's kind of been like, all right, who's the new head coach? We're still trying to get used to the new head coach. What is he going to do? And or you're looking at who's the new quarterback? Are they going to draft a quarterback? And this year it's kind of like, obviously there are a lot of big headlines to keep track of here with the Bears as after they reach the NFC divisional round, but this kind of has a different, more laid back feel for it if you're a Bears fan than maybe past, what, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of the combine.
Yeah, it's nice to probably be meeting with Poles and the head coach and not having to talk about who you're going to pick in the top 10 and so much roster overhaul that's going to have need to be done. You're in a good place right now, right? I mean, the conversation is more about the backup quarterback than it is the starting quarterback. So that's a sign of a good franchise.
Yeah, it is, right? Like hopefully you're able to build upon it and kind of stack these years together. But at least for this year, combine will be a little bit, maybe, it's always interesting. A lot of stuff happens at the combine. You start working out some trades, you get some feelers about, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, what do you think about this? Obviously, so some workings take place as well. So a lot of stuff happened. Obviously, the draft that's the whole reason why we're here. But it's a lot of stuff happens here at the combine. So it's fun to be here, fun to get to talk to some people about what they think about the Bears, and a lot of respect coming the Bears' way. So definitely a different environment for the Bears here at the combine. If you're joining us on the YouTube live stream, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you got any questions, you got any comments, put them in the chat. We'll make sure to answer them. Click that like button down there and subscribe. That's the best way to support us. If you're joining us on Facebook as well, give us a like and react. Hopefully it's with a heart or that hug heart emoji, whatever that is. But make sure if you got any questions or comments on Facebook, we can see those there. So make sure you head those up with those as well. And if you're joining us on the live stream or on the podcast, thanks so much for joining us there. You make sure to rate us and subscribe. That's the best way to support us. And make sure you follow us on social media whenever you want to be part of the conversation on the live stream. We'll usually give you guys a little bit of notice over social media. But Joe, a lot of stuff to talk about here, even if the Bears don't have a top 10 pick and a new head coach. One of the bigger things, and actually one of the first things that was kind of funny, Falcons general manager and former Bears assistant general manager Ian Cunningham was actually at the same podium as Bears general manager Ryan Poles just before. So it worked out great for us Bears reporters to ask the question about obviously the hiring of Ian Cunningham and the reported of the Bears not getting 2 compensatory picks for Ian Cunningham's hiring. Again, for those who don't know, it's part of the Rooney Rule that, a minority candidate who comes up through an organization and is hired away to a higher position, that team where the candidate comes from usually gets two third round compensatory picks over the next 2 years. It seemed like the Bears would have gone that with Ian Cunningham's hiring with the Falcons, but the NFL reportedly is ruling that Matt Ryan is the team president for the Falcons. He'll be the decision maker. So we got first chance to talk to Ryan Poles about it and Ian Cunningham about it, and both were pretty effusive in their belief that, listen, like, the Bears should have a two third round picks. Like, Brian Poles said that he's been in communication with the league about it, or has at least made it known that he feels about the way that they do. He hasn't heard back from the league. He doesn't have a timeline. Ian Cunningham, to his credit, he said he hasn't looked at the exact language of the rule, and hasn't read it recently. But based on his understanding, he also believes that if you hire someone and someone gets hired to another place and they get elevated to a higher positioning, Ian Cunningham and the Falcons also believe that the Bears should get two compensatory picks. So, Joe, the Bears believe they should get the picks. The Falcons believe they should get the picks. I guess we're still going to have to decide whether the NFL believes that they should get the picks.
Well, everything I'm hearing is that the Bears, that the NFL will not reward the picks to the Bears, and I don't get that. I don't know if you've heard the same thing. I don't know where people are getting that information from. But look, the Bears played nice. They did what you wanted them to do. They should get compensated. And I don't know, Michael, have you seen Ryan Poles ever ticked off, angry? I don't think I have. And he should be angry at this. And it's just that's what's gonna, we've talked to the league about it, and I don't know if we're going to get the picks or not. Hey, man, you deserve these picks. And I just think it sets a bad precedent. And I know, it's not the Falcons draft pick that you'd be getting. It'd just be at the end of the third round. But look, if I'm an NFC team, I don't want the Bears getting an extra pick, whether I'm in the AFC or the NFC South or the NFC North. I don't want to see the Bears getting a potential impact player that, who knows, will make them better than us, and maybe it's a difference in making the playoffs or winning one more game or whatever. I just don't understand why the Bears, and I'm not being a homer on this, I don't understand why they're not getting the pick. I don't understand why the Bears aren't more upset.
Well, I think they are upset. Listen, I think Ryan Poles is... if I would kind of explain Ryan Poles, he's kind of like that meme, chill guy. He doesn't really wear his emotions on his sleeve. He doesn't get too high. Right. He doesn't get too low. I feel like throughout the years, from what I've been able to, get a chance to talk to him and seeing him, I feel like he's pretty even keel. So I actually thought yesterday was, with his answers and the way he was answering, he was kind of angry about it. I mean, obviously he wasn't screaming or calling out the NFL, but I mean, for lack of for who Ryan Poles has been throughout his time, that was him pretty mad. That was him pretty upset about the situation. So, I do think that he is upset, and I think the Bears are upset about the situation. I think it's a little interesting that he hasn't heard from the NFL about the situation. We'll see. I think it's still pending. I haven't seen anything that the NFL has concluded the situation. I haven't seen anything about that, so I wouldn't put that to rest just yet. But I do think that, listen, the Bears realize what the issue is. The Falcons realize what the issue is, and listen, we don't have a timeline for it. Hopefully, you would know sooner rather than later, because that really impacts, how you're going to prepare for the draft, and quite honestly, how you prepare for free agency. Because if you have an extra third round pick, that changes your trajectory, right? That changes, maybe you can get an impact player at the third round that maybe you don't want to spend money on in free agency, right? So I think I think hopefully the NFL, we don't hear from Roger Goodell in these situations. We don't hear from these league managers at the combine, but I would hope that we would get an answer sooner rather than later, just based on, I don't know, both, if two NFL teams, you could have had Ian Cunningham very easily say, it's not my decision. I wish the Bears best, but I don't know. He's starting a new job. He's not trying to ruffle any feathers, right? But he was pretty effusive in his belief that the Bears, should get two first round picks for that.
Yeah, that was good to hear from Ian Cunningham too. That he even agreed that the Bears should get the pick. So, and Michael, it's kind of like the Bears to Indiana move. It's not done yet. It's not official. So, like that, this is not official yet from the NFL. But I would expect that we would hear something relatively soon. I mean, we still have 2 months before the draft, but you'd like to know as soon as possible. I don't think this is something the league that needs to put on the back burner. It's not like I know the NFL is 12 months out of the year now, but they've got time to address this and make a decision once and for all on this.
Yeah, hopefully it would be a decision that they can do by the new league year, which is March
Yeah.
11th. Just by the time they start the new year, I mean, they need to get. They need to get their draft order set and all that kind of stuff. So, it is a decision, hopefully, that the NFL is able to hit on. All right, some other things that we learned from Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles. Some of the interesting comments he had about the salary cap. Obviously, the Bears enter the offseason. I think they're roughly $5 million above the salary cap right now. I know that it's been reported by a few different outlets that the Bears are allowing Tremaine Edmunds to seek a trade. So obviously that would clear up some space there. But Joe, I thought it was interesting to hear from Ryan Poles. And, he was asked about Tremaine Edmunds. He was asked about DJ Moore. He was asked about Cole Kmet. And he was asked about DeAndre Swift. And when it comes to the salary cap, he said that they're listening to what is out there. They're listening to offers, right? Like they want to get value and that kind of stuff. But it also doesn't seem like the Bears are going to make any moves that are going to put them in a hole in the future, which I thought was interesting. Like Ryan Poles made it pretty clear to say that, listen, like we're thinking about the short term and the long term. We're not going to make a move or a trade that puts us in a bad spot. Like he is planning on hopefully giving Caleb Williams like the highest quarterback contract, whatever that number is at, whenever Caleb is up, right? Like he said that's my hope, that's my plan, that we're paying a quarterback here in a couple of years. So he doesn't want to put the Bears in a bad spot like that. So I am curious to know, Joe, what your thoughts about that, and whether you think that maybe this means that the Bears aren't in on Max Crosby. Maybe this means that the Bears aren't going to be major players in free agency, because based on what I heard from Ryan talking about it and him being cautious about cautious about the salary cap and where they're at. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears are more quieter players in free agency because of that now.
Well, it's a tricky spot. First of all, maybe you got to go the route of restructuring some contracts. Now, that said, I think they would love to shed the money of DJ Moore. I know that Ryan Poles said all the right things yesterday about DJ Moore. Yeah, they speak very highly of him. We speak very highly of him. I think most reporters speak highly of him, regardless of how you feel that last interception against the Rams went and whose fault it was, whatever. But that's a lot of money you're going to be paying him. But this is the Bears window is now, right? It starts now. This past season was a little ahead of schedule, but now it's go time. You have Odunze, Caleb, Loveland, Monungai, Burden, all on the rookie deal. So your window is kind of now. So I don't know how they're going to do this. We always know there are ways around this. Edmunds, suffice to say, he's played his last game as a Bear, right? And we can come to that conclusion. So,
whether it's a cut or a trade, I would assume that he's done with the Bears, unfortunately, just given the contract situation.
Exactly, because at least one's got to go, and that's clearly the obvious one. Then it would kind of pain you to see, well, do they have to get rid of Cole Kmet? What about do they got to get rid of DeAndre Swift? And then what do you do? I mean, it's like to talk about, trading Tyson Bagent, if that were to happen. It's not going to save you a lot of money. And then we even haven't really brought that up yet, but what's the point of even doing that? Now, never mind that all the time you've invested in the guy and the progress he's made, what are you going to get for him? What are you going to get for him? And now you got to go find a backup quarterback because you need that guy. Because you don't want the season to go down the drains if Caleb gets hurt in week 1 or week 10 or whatever. So that shouldn't be a conversation, but it kind of seems like it's becoming a story with Tyson Bagent if teams are interested in him. So I don't know what they're going to do. I know there are ways around it all. You just might see some popular Bears, starting with Tremaine Edmunds, not here next season.
Yeah, let's hit on some of those guys that you mentioned. I want to hit on something before though. You mentioned restructuring. Ryan Poles was asked about that, and he seemed open to the concept of restructuring deals. Obviously, whether it's Montez Sweat or Joe Tooney or Drew Dahlman, or Dio Dangbo, he seemed open to the proposition, but he was also kind of like, listen, guys, like we can't not pay the money now in order to kick it down the road, and then you end up in the situation where you have to pay all these, signing bonuses that you put off until like 2028 or 2027, right? So I do think that it will be a tool that Ryan Poles uses. I'm sure see one restructuring. Maybe it is DJ Moore if he's open to that. It'd be, it's something that we've talked about. It's kind of weird to restructure a deal that you haven't officially started, right? Like it's kind of weird to do that, but maybe DJ's open to that because he wants to be part of the winning culture and he actually wants to win a Super Bowl. So maybe that's worth it to him. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears and Poles do restructure some of those deals. I wouldn't imagine it's a lot though. I would think it's one restructure if that, because of how Poles doesn't want to kick the can down the road. But other guys, let's talk about some key guys that you kind of mentioned and that they kind of talked about. I thought it was interesting, when he was asked about both Cole Kmet and DeAndre Swift, you know, Ryan Poles said, "Listen, we'll listen. Like we'll obviously listen to guys, but he also was kind of like he expects both DeAndre Swift and Cole Kmet to be back with the team, and I find that interesting because it seems like Ryan Poles has of the mentality, and I think a lot of Bears fans might have that. Like, I don't think you need to get rid of talent just to get rid of talent because you don't know where you're going to replace it, right? Like, sure, you can shed salary here and there if you did get rid of Cole Kmet and DeAndre Swift, but what are you replacing them with, right? So it's kind of one of those situations where okay, yeah, you get rid of Cole Kmet. Who's your second tight end? Who's your blocking tight end, right? Okay, you get rid of DeAndre Swift, but is a running back that you draft, in the third or fourth round or fifth round automatically going to put up the production that DeAndre Swift is going to have? So it was interesting, Joe, because I feel like, we've talked about the cap casualties last week and I had a whole story about it, but it with those two guys, especially obviously we know about Tremaine and we'll talk about DJ here in a bit, but with those two guys, it didn't really seem like he was really in a rush to get rid of them outside of, someone offers him like a second or a third round pick.
Yeah, I don't want to see DeAndre. I'm fine with DeAndre Swift for another season. I'm fine with Komet. It's a matter are they happy and can I mean are you going to run it? So part of me two things like are you going to run it back with the entire same offense except left tackle? You got to figure that out what you're going to do. But otherwise, you're going to run it back with everybody. My guess is no. That one of those guys or multiple guys, Moore, Komet, and Swift will be gone. I don't think all three will be gone, but maybe not. Maybe they will be. But the offense isn't the problem. Your quarterback's got to get better still. I mean, Caleb's finally getting all the love now, and deservedly so. But we've talked about it pretty much every podcast you and I have done since last summer. He's got to be better. We expect him to be better. So then you run it back with everybody? Can you afford to run it back with everybody? I don't know. My guess is one or two of those guys, of those three anyway, will be gone to help to fortify the defense, right?
Right. Yeah. And listen, you got to create space somehow here. So
Yeah.
that's something that they got to deal with right now. Like, is it worth it to you to release Cole Kmet and his, I forget how much it is. I think it's like a $5 million or $8 million cap hit in order to sign a lesser tight end, and then you get a free agent, or you draft a tight. I mean, I don't know if you're going to draft a tight end. I mean, they did that in the
Right.
first round last year. So it's a really challenging puzzle that they're going to have to put together right now. And I think I don't think they're, based on what I heard yesterday, I don't think they know exactly what they're doing yet. And that's not from a lack of
Yeah.
trying. I think it's from they're talking to other GMs right now and other coaches, and they're kind of getting ideas of like, all right, here is what Cole Kmet's market potentially would be. Here's Tremaine Edmonds' market. Here's DeAndre Swift's market, if there is one. Here's DJ Moore's market, right? Like, I think they're putting all the pieces now together. And I think over the next week, before tampering starts and the new league starts in about a week and a half here. I think we'll start to get a good idea of what the plan is, like kind of like around the time last year, like a few days before the tampering period starts. So, like by next Wednesday, I would guess, or Thursday, you could see a trade if they're going to make a trade. You could see a release if you're going to see a release, because I think right now they're still trying to get a grasp of what the market is for what they have and whether they want to get rid of what they have.
I think that's fair. And it's what's today, the 25th of February, and we have time. But probably like a lot of teams, GM league, they're trying to figure it out. Ian Cunningham, right? How's this going to work? What kind of interest? But that's why you have this. It's like the baseball winter meetings, right? Where you're doing a lot of talking with each other. The 32 teams, like you'd mentioned at the start of this podcast here. So there's still.
Looks like we're losing Joe here for a little bit in the middle
Still
of this
asking the question.
Sorry, Joe, you broke up there for a little bit.
Got me back?
Yeah, we got you back.
Sorry about that.
All good.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was saying it's just kind of like you have these like winter baseball meeting vibes. This is what it's all about, right? Trying to figure it out. It's whatever. What's today? The 25th. We don't need the answers today, but we'll need them soon here. But this is why this is productive. Not only to see potential guys who are going to be playing, guys who are potentially going to be playing the NFL at the combine, but to do all the legwork and see what kind of feelers you have out there. So it's good. I do expect activity sooner rather than later, I would say. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, like I said, I think sometime, maybe even Wednesday, maybe even Tuesday, sometime next week, you're going to see some activity, whether it's trades and that kind of stuff. You started to see it today, obviously, with the report about the Bears giving Tremaine a shot to talk to other teams to work out a deal, maybe. So I would assume we'll get some more clarity here moving forward. And one of the key players we're going to probably get some clarity is DJ Moore, Joe. I just published a story about DJ Moore and pretty much how his future is pretty uncertain here. I think he was I thought Ryan Poles was concrete in saying that he thinks Cole Kmet and DeAndre Swift will most likely come back. He didn't say the same thing about DJ Moore. And it was interesting because both Ryan and Ben were effusive in their praise. They both of them made sure to say, we want DJ Moore back. He was an impactful player. He was there for us. He literally did every position. He was dependable. I think they pretty much said what we've been saying since the end of the regular season, right? Like DJ Moore is not a reason why you lost the game despite the whole interception thing or whatever. Like DJ was your most dependable wide receiver, and he made a lot of sacrifice physically. He played through numerous injuries and target-wise. Like he finished career low in receiving yards and target yards because that's what the offense called for, right? But now the Bears need to decide, is this a team that you can, is DJ Moore part of your future? And Joe, based on what you heard yesterday and what you read, just what were your impressions about whether you think DJ Moore is part of this Bears future?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. If you're reading between the lines, they're okay moving forward without him. Now, how they do that is another question. I don't know if the savings, the cap wise, that's such a big hit next year. What's it, like 18 and a half? I don't know. You're not going to be saving a lot. If you can't cut him, you'd have to trade him. And then for what? You'd be trading him basically just to get rid of the money. And I go back, Michael, to last offseason we talked about when we knew who the wide receiver and tight end room, who was going to be in that and what that was going to look like. There's only one football. And I wondered, you look at overall, we talked about it, and some of it was due to injuries, but the overall receiving numbers of guys were not, this is not like going to be a highlight on the back of the football card, career, total receptions for DJ Moore, for all these guys. So Burton needs to get the ball more. Loveland will get the ball, but his receptions, if he's healthy, will go up next season, right? Is there, I hate to put it this way, is there room for DJ Moore? Like, you want to see more Luther Burton? He's not getting paid anything. So I wonder about that part of it too. Like if money was all the same across the board, Do you even want to bring the same group? Do you think it worked? Do you think there was enough there for where each guy's going to be satisfied? And they all say they want to win. That's the bottom line. But they look at their numbers. They know, and they know that means the better numbers, the more money you're going to get down the road, whether it's by the Bears or somebody else. So I just wonder on both ends, do they want to bring back, would they want to bring that entire receiving group again, even if the salaries were not an issue?
Well, I think if the salaries weren't an issue, you bring everyone back, right? Like that's
Yeah,
that's
okay.
probably one of the best wide receivers rooms in the NFL. Like all the different ways you can attack it, but obviously, I think Ryan Poles was asked, in a vacuum, a question about a vacuum or whatever, living in a vacuum, and if you lived in a vacuum and money wasn't a part of the factor, yeah, obviously you would want all three guys. I think all three guys. You saw what happens, right? Like guys get injured, guys have foot injuries, guys have concussions, guys pull hamstring, guys tear ACLs. Things happen in the NFL, right? So, yeah, I don't think you can ever have too many targets on this offense. But it's kind of like you said, like it's just hard to pay him. It's just kind of hard to keep him at the money he's at. Looking at the numbers, he's set to make $28.5 million this year. He has the highest cap hit. According to Over the Cap, he will have a $35.5 million dead cap hit, if the team cut him before June 1st. So the team would lose $7 million. They only save $1 million if they cut him after June 1st. So I wouldn't imagine releasing him or cutting him as part of the factor. If you do move the DJ Moore, it's going to be through a trade. Bears would save $16.5 million if they traded Moore before June 1st. They would save $24.5 million if they traded him after June 1st. But obviously, you got a team that has a cap space to pull off that trade, right? Like that's another big thing. Like I think there are a lot of teams like I know that the Raiders have been talked about, but obviously you're going to have to take on money. I know that's what the Max Crosby thing situation, but a team like the Raiders where maybe you don't maybe you have a young quarterback that needs a wide receiver. Sounds familiar for DJ Moore, right? Like he gets traded to another team that kind of has a young quarterback and is trying to figure things out. Maybe that's how you would kind of do it, because if you do want to create any sort of cap savings, it would have to come through the trade. You would save a good amount of money before June 1st, but obviously it'd be better at first. But yeah, it's just it's so uncertain right now, and that's what this whole thing has kind of been, where you're kind of like, yeah, we love the guy. We would love to have him, and that's the thing that's kind of the thing that stinks about the NFL, right? Like it's such a, because of the salary cap, you have to make a lot of tough decisions. It's also a reason why the NFL is so great. Like the Bears don't get Joe Tooney last year if the Chiefs don't have to get rid of his salary, right? Like like you get a lot of those type of moves because teams are forced to create space. And I just, as of right now, I don't think we have a solution with what DJ Moore is going to do, but I did think it was really interesting just based on what we heard for how much they love him. You could have had Ryan easily say, yeah, he's coming back. We expect him to be back. He was very cautious to just be like, we love him, but we have to listen to what's out there.
Yeah, you were looking for that. You were looking for, we want him back. We fully expect DJ Moore to be on our football roster. We're not looking to move him. We didn't hear any of that. So, and that's not to say they're lying when they say we love DJ Moore, and they get it. They know,
No,
but they know it's a business too, and you've got to do some finagling here to make this all work. To better your football team.
you mentioned him earlier here, Joe. Tyson Bagent
Yeah.
is a really interesting name actually here now. We heard some reports earlier in the past week, and Ryan was asked about it, and he said, yeah, he's getting calls about Tyson Bagent. That's mostly because, listen, the quarterback market is not great this offseason. There aren't really elite free agents. The trade market isn't that great either. So there is the free agency isn't great. The draft obviously is not great. So the Bears are in the world right now where, is a team like Arizona interested in Tyson Bagent? Is a team like Miami interested in Tyson Bagent? You know what I mean? Like it's a really interesting world. And it was so funny because Ben was asked about it at the podium. What do you what what are your thoughts about potentially trading Tyson Bagent? And he basically just coughed and said no at the same time. Like, no, like very clearly does not want to get rid of Tyson Bagent. And I don't think the Bears want to get rid of Tyson Bagent, right? Like they put a lot of time and effort into him. He's a great story. He means a lot to that team. Undrafted free agent. There's a reason why they gave him that extension. But Joe, if a team is coming to you and is offering you a third round pick, I don't know what the market would be. Maybe even a second round pick. I don't know how crazy that is. That's something the Bears have to listen to, right? Like Tyson Bagent is not your starting quarterback here with Caleb Williams, and I know how important the backup quarterback obviously is, but to be quite honest, like we've only really seen Tyson Bagent in preseason action, and a couple games when Justin Fields got hurt, right? Like so, it is one of those things where it's kind of like, can you really hold on to a backup quarter? I know that Chicago loves backup quarterbacks. Chicago loves backup. My brother-in-law's father loves the backup quarterback more than the starting quarterback. He has Tyson Bagent's jersey over Caleb Williams' jersey. That's how strong this is in Chicago. But Joe, I do think that if a team is offering you a second or a third round pick, I mean, don't the Bears have to make a move here?
Well, that's the question. Like, what would you want in return, or what do you think you could get in return? Fourth round pick? No, I keep him. Third round pick?
Fourth, so you wouldn't move him for a fourth?
I don't think I would, because I'm afraid it would be a project guy. I just maybe if I had more, I still don't know if I have enough faith in Ryan Poles to get that fourth round pick. To make that fourth round pick worthwhile. Like I don't want to I know you can go throughout the league history. Not only the Bears, every team has fourth round guys who were maybe Pro Bowl players or really good starters for a long time, then guys who are flat out busts. And the Bears have had their share. Probably every team has. But I don't know, but a third rounder, I guess you got to make that move. But like who's going to give up a third rounder? Like maybe it's Arizona, because you're going to give a third rounder for a guy like you really don't know. Look, there's a reason why Tyson Bagent wasn't drafted. I mean, he doesn't have Caleb's arm. Now, there's probably things he probably does better. He maybe processes better than Caleb. We wondered that. It's probably going back to midseason. Like, my goodness, I wonder what Tyson might be doing in this situation and over Caleb. But there are reasons why he wasn't drafted, and I'm not saying he couldn't be a good starting quarterback in this league. But boy, if you are Arizona or someone else who's going to make that move and give up a third round pick or a fourth round pick, because he's going to come in not to be a backup. He's a backup here. He's going to right. I mean, you're trading for him.
Yeah, a team is trading for him to be their starter.
Right, and then is that a smart move? Like, that's a tough one, but
it's interesting because it's interesting. Sorry, Joe. It's interesting because Ben was gassing Tyson up. Obviously, he loves Tyson Bagent. I think he loves how much he embraced his culture and all that kind of stuff. But Ben said, he believes Tyson is a top. He's one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the NFL. Ben Johnson believes that, whether he's saying that because he's trying to gas up the price and he's trying to raise it up. But I do believe that Ben actually does believe, like Ben said this last August, having worked with Tyson for like an offseason program and a couple weeks of training camp when they gave him the extension. Like even at that time, Ben was like, Tyson could be a starter somewhere else. So I don't think this is new. So obviously, so the Bears, I agree, Joe. The Bears will have to weigh what they value. Like Ben also said, like, we value having a backup quarterback. Like, we know how important that is and how much, that can derail your season if your quarterback gets injured, right? So it will be interesting to see, like we've said everything so far in this live stream, Joe. It'll be interesting to see where they value Tyson Bagent and where he kind of falls into what the line is, I guess, for what you are willing to give up to get, Tyson Bagent.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think that would be a topic of conversation at the combine, but it is.
Listen, Joe, when you have success, that's what happens, right? Teams want
Yeah,
to poach, they want to poach
yeah,
coaches and they
right.
want to poach players. If you have a successful season, this is what happens. I know Bears fans aren't used to this. It was kind of funny, like now that everyone's used to everyone wanting your players. I think Ryan Poles was actually asked about that. He's kind of like with the I think the flagship or whatever, but it's a different position for them, and it'll be interesting to see what those decisions are like coming up here. Joe, obviously in Indianapolis for the draft combine, scouting combine. I got a chance to talk to some defensive tackle and defensive edge prospects. We'll hear from some safeties tomorrow before I get out of town. But um, Joe, Ryan Poles said the approach doesn't really change for him when it comes to the draft, even though he's drafting a number 25. He's basically going with the best player available. He talked about last year about how everyone, you know, he used that same approach, and everyone was like, "Why would you take Coastal Loveland?" And obviously, that turned out to be great. And he's going to stick with that position, and I think that makes sense. At 25, you don't know how the board is going to go at that point. Like at that point, the mock drafts, once you get to the 25s, you're just kind of like, all right, like we're kind of guessing here a little bit. Like there's some truth to it, but you are guessing a little bit there. But it sounds like they're going to go best player available. And when it comes to the defensive line, Joe, they're looking for guys who can stop the run, whether that's the defensive tackle and whether that's the edge rusher, and a guy who just has an endless motor and kind of athleticism and the length that you kind of have seen that Ryan Poles and Dennis Allen have really wanted here in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, it's you have to address one of the three levels, which the Bears have needs at all three with that 25th pick, assuming you keep it, unless you make a trade somehow involving that pick. But assuming they keep 25, it's got to be it's just got to be it's got to be well, maybe four, because either an edge, tackle, linebacker, or safety. They're probably not going safety. I don't know who the best safety would be available. But to me,
I would guess safety would be like a second or third round pick. I think the
my
safety
guess,
class is pretty deep there, where you're kind of like I think I agree with you. I think you're going with
yeah,
mine on the first round.
yeah. Unless you just love a guy. Again, depends on where you have them on your big board, right?
Sure.
Regardless of position. If that's we can't believe they always say that, but I can't believe this guy was still there at our pick. My gosh, we
Oh
had to
yeah,
grab
sure.
him. They all
Yeah.
they all say that. But I mean, if it is a safety, we're like, we have this safety ranked way higher than this linebacker or this defensive lineman, then take the safety and then maybe go get your B lineman in round two at would they be is it 50? Are they going 25? Are they going 50 or whatever they'd be drafting at in the second round? But pardon?
I think it's 56 because 32,
56. Yeah, right.
32
Yeah.
plus
Thank you.
25. Yeah.
So 56. So to me, it's we just know they're not taking a tight end, a wide receiver, a quarterback, or punter at 25.
Joe, never say never. You never know. You said never last year, and you never know what they're going to get. But
That's true.
yeah, it'll be interesting. I'll have some stories next week from some of the top defensive prospects. Hearing from them, got a chance to hear from some fun guys. I kind of want the Bears to draft Zion Young out of Missouri because he calls every reporter big guy, whether you're big or small. So I think that could be a little bit fun. But excuse me, it'll be fun to see what that kind of looks like. One last draft thing before we wrap up here. It will be interesting to see how the Bears handle the left tackle situation. I know, Joe, you are not as concerned as some other people are. Ryan Poles did say that he does expect Ozzie Trapillo to come back next year. It's going to be late into next year, I would guess December, without knowing exactly. But it 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 does seem like they're going to focus on the left tackle spot, and I'm interested to see. We didn't get too much clarity about he believes in Ozzie Trapillo and him coming back. He mentioned Braxton Jones, or he mentioned Theo Benedict and Braxton Jones. Maybe those are guys that they kind of rely on. That I know Theo Benedict was signed with that exclusive deal. Braxton Jones is going to be a free agent, but Joe, maybe this is a world where you bring back Braxton Jones or Theo Benedict. Here's your left tackle. Ozzie recovers. You draft a left tackle. I could potentially see that world.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I mean, even though it's one of the top, right? If you're drafting most important positions, we know number one is quarterback, and then you're talking left tackle, rush edge, shutdown corner. So that, don't get me wrong, like that's important, but somehow they survived the whole season and were effective running the ball, and the quarterback wasn't sacked a whole heck of a lot, despite their issues if you want to call them issues, at left tackle. So to me, and if you still think Ozzie Trapillo is a future starter on your offensive line, and it's not going to be at right tackle as long as you have Darnell Wright, then why draft the guy in the second round to think he was going to be potentially your franchise left tackle? I don't quite get that. So patch it together again, whether it's with Theo Bennett and whether it's Braxton Jones or some other guy. But then if it's a free agent, well, what are you going to have to pay that guy to be a mediocre football player who's probably not any better than Braxton Jones? So unless Braxton Jones can make some big money elsewhere, like, well, we can't afford Braxton Jones now. Someone wanted to give him a lot of money, so good for Braxton Jones, and we move on. But to me, Mike, and again, it's weird to be saying that left tackle is not a priority, because it always should be a priority, regardless of what football team you are. But to me, I'm just thinking defense. I'm going to hold up my D in the fence. That should be the focus, and patch together left tackle. Then if Ozzie can't play or his career's over or whatever, you can address that in the 2027 offseason.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they approach it. I kind of get your side, but I also, in the back of my head, I'm kind of like, the offensive line is so to what Ben Johnson does.
Sure.
So if Ben Johnson wants a left tackle, I think you get a left tackle. I think you kind of live in that world where, yes, the defense is important, obviously, but it'll be interesting to see how they approach it. I think we'll learn a lot, especially in the early days of free agency, if they do bring a veteran or if they don't. If they bring back Braxton Jones and it's Theo Bennett and Braxton Jones, and you're like, Ozzie Trapillo, we believe in him. Okay. But it'll be interesting to see how the Bears approach the situation, because it's going to be a story. Once again, even if you believed in Ozzie Trapillo's future, he's coming back from a devastating injury. That it's just one of those things in modern medicine that aren't as sure as you would think would be in modern medicine, right? Like, so
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how he kind of comes back from it, but that'll be something that we'll keep an eye on here in the coming weeks, whether it is free agency or whether we'll have to focus more about it in the draft. Slim was joining us. He had a wild proposition. He wants to keep Swift, add running back Travis Etienne for $12 million yearly, including playoffs. He had 5 total touchdowns. Three-headed monster of Etienne, Swift, Monongai combined for $23 million for best running back room in the NFL. I love the optimism. I love the approach. I don't think the Bears are not spending free agency money, limited money that they have, on a running back. They're third round, fourth round, sure, I could see them adding there. But Joe, I appreciate the offer, Slim, but I just don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think you see three-headed monsters with running backs in the league, unless I'm missing one. But you just don't have the money to do that. Now, maybe if you want to go ETN and get rid of let DeAndre Swift go, that's another story. I've heard that mentioned. ETN's a really good football player. There's no doubt about that, and maybe he's an upgrade. Than Swift, I don't know. But
what would he cost you though? Like, I feel like he would probably cost you more or about the same for what DeAndre's, right? So it's kind of like, what's the trade-off here?
That's it. And that's like with the other guys too. We've already talked about. If you're going to let this guy go, whether you let him work on his own trade or he leaves in free agency or whatever, then who are you replacing with, and what's that cost? You're not going to have 7 rookies start next season. Do you have 7 picks? You only get one of the first, one of the second, one of the third. I think they got all their picks, right? But those guys aren't. So then where are they coming from? You don't have a lot of money. I mean, the Bears will suit up 11 on each side. I'm not worried about that come opening day. But they don't have the flexibility that they have in past seasons.
All right, Joe, before we say goodbye, Todd is joining us from Facebook and asking the question, and I'm sure many Bears fans are wondering, are we really moving to Indiana? And if so, are we staying the Chicago Bears? Um, Stadium update. There's a lot to update. The Indiana House passed the amended Senate bill on Tuesday. Yours truly was actually in the Senate chamber today, expecting a vote from the Senate, but that was announced that that bill will be called tomorrow. So your favorite reporter is going back to the Senate chamber tomorrow, where I will not. It will most definitely be passed, especially since the media advisory was sent out. I assume Indiana's trying to make a big deal out of this. And at the same time, I've been reading from Springfield that Governor Pritzker and lawmakers think they're making progress with getting something out of the committee. One of the committees, Joe, there are so many committees, out of the committee to get tax certainty, which is what the Bears are looking for in Arlington Heights. So, Joe, the long answer is I don't know. I don't know yet. We'll see. Tomorrow the Senate will pass the bill in Indiana. We'll see what Illinois does. But Joe, I don't think we're I don't think we're getting an answer. Watch me be wrong, but I think tomorrow's pretty much going to be an expected result, right? Outside of something happening in Illinois where they don't pass it out of committee, or like Chicago, state lawmakers are like, no, no, no. I think we're still pretty much a status quo, and it's going to be pretty much up to the Bears being like, where do they want to go? What's important to the Bears? I think that's where we're still at. It's pretty much the same situation we were at the last time we talked about this.
Yeah. Did you feel out of place being a sports writer in the Senate House there? Like, did you think like
Well, it was a little
dress
weird.
appropriately
I was
or
not aware. It was not aware. I'm wearing like a dress shirt, but like with like dark jeans. That's the scouting combine outfit. Not everyone is dressed to the nines at the scouting combine. But then, I went to the state house and was told that you could sit on the floor if you were like in a jacket and that kind of stuff. I do not have a jacket with me, so I was back with the camera people, back with the other press people, where you could hide me from me and my jeans. So no, Joe, but I was I was fish out of water for a little bit there. But I did appreciate them sending out that media advisory, because I would have been really mad if I was there for however long, 2 or 3 hours, and it turns out that the bill wasn't even called. I was very happy to have that media advisory before they started their session.
well, the way you pick on a sports writer, he's normally the guy who has a mustard stain on his shirt. So make sure you wipe off any mustard stains
I
off
will
your
make
shirt
sure.
just in case, because that'll give you away that you're a sports writer.
Joe, they've only been giving us away free Cobb salads, and they are not great
Oh,
free
come
Cobb
on.
salads. So
Oh, boy.
I've been staying away from the free food, and I've had to go grab lunch somewhere else. So I'm
Terrible.
definitely watching it. But that's the latest. That's the latest with the stadium news, Joe. We'll see how it unfold here. Like I said, I expect the Senate to pass the bill tomorrow. I don't know whether the governor would sign it that day. I'm sure they want to make a thing out of it. But I think I do think that we'll get it, and much like we'll get certainty with what the Bears are going to do with the offseason here in the next couple of weeks. I do think we're going to get a solution here, because the Bears are eventually going to have to choose: are you going to the package here in Indiana, or are you going here in Illinois? Because I think both governments are going to be like, all right, quit playing us. We're one. You got to choose a side here, and the Bears are going to have to eventually make a decision here in the coming weeks.
Yes. Stop dating two people. Pick one girl. Let's go. Pick one. But I think it's going to happen soon here. But
Yeah,
just a gut feeling. I could be wrong. I think they end up going to Arlington Heights now.
yeah. I quite personally, for me, I still think they're going to Arlington Heights. The Bears have never made an agreement with Indiana. They've never put out a proposal with Indiana. All they've just said is we're interested in Indiana. And I think that's the major thing for me at this point. I think they want to stay in Illinois. I think they want to stay in Arlington Heights, but we'll see if politics will let that all happen, Joe. But so yeah, stick with me. I'm still in Indianapolis for another day or two. I'll be at the combine Thursday morning, and at the State House Thursday afternoon. Find you a reporter who can do it all. So keep up with me. Follow me on social media at Dwojak 94. I'll have your latest updates from the combine and the state house. So, Joe, that's everything we've got. You and I are both drenched with in sun right So that's a good time to say goodbye. Thank you so much to everyone who joined us on the live stream, both on YouTube and on Facebook. If you joined us on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. That's the best way to support us. Same thing with Facebook. And if you're joining us on the podcast, thank you so much for joining us there. Make sure you like us, subscribe us, and give us a rating as well. So for Joe and I, thanks so much for joining us. And we will talk to you folks down the road.